Hey everybody, Don Giannatti here, lighting-essentials.com and project52prosystem.com. I'm getting a lot of compliments on doing these deconstruction shots and working with my students on the various different workshops that I do. I get such great work back from the students, and it's a great way to deconstruct what they've done so you can see how you might be able to do it as well. I'm a big believer in product photography, food photography, still life photography, portrait and fashion, and all kinds of photography to make a living. We talk about B2B photography, business photography, not talking about consumer photography, babies, weddings, and that type of thing. I don't know much about them. I don't want to do it. Let somebody else do it, and those are the people who probably give you better advice on it. But we're going to talk about the very exacting and disciplined science of product photography. Starting out here, we've got this shot by John McAllister, and John's shot of this 007 is quite, it looks simple at first. You know, we've got the bottle, we've got all the diamonds and things on the bottle. It looks simple, but it's not. It's not simple. All these dimples are three-dimensional. Do you see that? And see what he's done? He's given us some nice lighting in here. We've got highlights to show the dark dimples, or whatever you want to call them, over here, because there's no light hitting this side of them. And then light starts to hit the front of them, and they become grayish. And now we've got black being reflected on them, and another light source. And finally, a very, very smooth liquid-like highlight here that lets us know they're black. We see plenty of black in here. There's no doubt that it's black. Our eyes tell us that it's black. Black with highlights, controlled highlights. The bottle is shiny, and we can tell that because of the transfer here between the light, the reflection, and the pure, or what I call true value of the subject, which is a very shiny black. So we have this transition, which is tight, it's sharp, and then the shiny black. That's enough black right here and right here to let us know that the bottle's black. Very bright highlight over here, transitioning very quickly here, tells us that the bottle is very shiny. Up here, the transitions aren't so fast, are they? A little bit softer up here. That's because this is one of those polished steel lids. So a little bit of polish to it breaks up the gloss and gives it a diffused texture, so we get a little bit of a diffused highlight here. But what I want you to notice are these very thin highlights right on the side here, right on the side here, and right down here. Imagine this shot without that highlight. It's not the same picture. It would just simply blend off into this background. That little highlight's really important. How did John do that? Well, we call it dark field lighting. And that is, he's got a black card in front of a giant white softbox. He's got it off center. He wants a larger amount of light on that side to come on this side of the bottle here, and a smaller amount on this side just to give us that little stripe. Let's go back and look at it again. That light from behind is what's giving us this edge here, and the light from behind there is giving us this edge here. Now we've got two white cards on both sides. These white cards are giving us these different highlights within it, and this light is shining on this white card to make it just a little more powerful than this white card's going to be. Okay, let's go back and look. We see that white card with some light on it, getting some nice highlight in here. You can see how John has gradient lit the white cards, a little bit brighter on this side, a little bit darker on this side. Let's go back and look at the setting. You can see it's a little bit brighter here, gets a little bit darker back there because this light is skimming in and lighting up the card. The card is white card material, so it's diffuse. So we get a very diffuse highlight on the subject. Lovely. Black on Black by Anders this is really an astounding product shot. Very very challenging to shoot black on black, and that's what Anders wanted to do. And notice how deliberate all the highlights are. Right up here we see the texture of the leather. We see it in here. We see the bright, shiny silver. We see this highlight coming down, and we see the highlight on the edge. We see the bright silver reflecting. We've got a soft highlight here, picking up a little bit more highlight down there. We have great highlights in the leather all the way through here. We can see that very bright highlight there. Real fast transition tells us that these parts are pretty shiny. These parts are less shiny, and the leather is leather. That's how it works. It's a beautiful shot. I think what is also impressive is notice how deliberate Anders is with his highlights. If you go all the way down to the bottom of these headphones, we pick up another little highlight here right before it curves under into the black crushed material background. A little bit of one right here. Now that's not real, because these are facing downward, and the angle of the camera coming in, the angle down, these should go pure black. That's fine for reality, but Anders is working on a shot that would go in an ad or a magazine editorial. So how did he do it? He laid the two shots on top of each other. One shot with just the headphones, and that gave him the shadows. And one shot with the white paper there, and that gave him the highlights going all the way down. Then simply in Photoshop, he just masked out the paper and let the original surface show through. He's got a little bit of a snoot going on here just to light the background of that crushed paper, and then white cards on both sides and a softbox with a grid above. Very, very detailed lighting. It doesn't have to be 500 things floating around, but it's absolutely perfect for this shot, because that is a really great shot of a set of headphones. Next up is a shot by Graham Kite. Graham, the assignment was women's shoes, and he wanted to do something playful, so he got some kids' shoes. And these kids' shoes had a little bit of challenge to them. And look how Graham handled the challenge. Number one, if you're going to shoot shoes, you've got to show the bottom of the shoe, the sole. You got to show the insole if it's special, and you got to show the toe of the shoe so they can see how it fits the foot. The sides and backs and things, only if they're special, are to be shown. Absolutely, but absolutely we got to see the toe and the bottom and the height of the heel. So in this particular case, they're little girls' flats, so the height of the heel is not a big issue. But notice how well he did the inside. He pulled this up just a little bit here, pulled this cloth up, gave us the texture back. Great highlights on the leather here of the shoe all the way through. We see the great color, and we got a really nice idea of what the bottom of the shoe looks like. It's very important. He wanted to carry on with the purple and orange motif of the shoe. We got the orange on the inside, so he picked up a little prop here and some beads here that were the same color, worked in Photoshop to bring everything into the same realm there, and made a very, very nice shot. Here's his lighting setup. Got light coming in from this side and that side, and then a large white card over the top to make sure that this light from the top is getting down and then bouncing on the edge of this card into the shoes. And this card is what's doing this here. It's being lit by this light right here, light going up into the card and into the inside of the shoe. That is very clever. It's a great way. You can see the reflection here in the shoe here. It's a great way to work. Graham works with LED lights, which is fine for studio photography and product photography. It's fantastic. He does a great job. So that's Graham Kite's shot. John McAllister wanted to do something absolutely perfect. According to the way he looked and saw that the company's marketing pieces were done. So he looked at the quality of the marketing piece for this middle of the road little clipper and said, I'm going to match that. I'm going to make my image that way. So he bought one, took it out, hung it up on some wire, which I'll show you in a second, and photographed it. He then did some serious Photoshop work with it, because this is not what it looks like when you take it out of the container in photo world. In real world, it's not bad. It's pretty nice, whatever. But in photo world, we get every little nick and piece of dust and everything on it. And even though he wiped it down as best he could, this is what he got. So that's what the razor looked like that he shot. Notice the highlights missing here. It's really rough in here because this plastic, it's not an expensive piece, so the plastic actually showed rumples in the edge here of the transition between the highlight, the specular highlight of the softbox, and the true value of the very black, shiny plastic. So using various techniques, John got the razor to look like this. Really nicely done. Light from the top, light from the bottom, fill card above. Hang this, take these out in Photoshop, and end up with that. Beautifully done. It's all deliberate. It's making it deliberate that makes it right. Michael Carpenter. Beautiful little wine shot here. Put the blue spray or the purple spray behind it. That let him have a dark edge to this bottle because the dark edge stands out against the purple. If this was a black background, that dark edge would blend in and he would have had to move this softbox back to get that edge, because we don't have anything blending into the back when we're shooting wine bottles. One of the problems that I see with people shooting wine bottles is they bring their highlights, their speculars, too far forward. We end up with black edges because the bottle, as it's going around the curve away from the camera, will reflect what it sees, and there's nothing there, so nothing gets reflected. We need to put something to reflect there. Michael chose to do it a little bit different way, with his deliberate use of the highlight here coming right over the little seal there, right down. We're looking at all the beautiful highlight in here. The shape of this drop kind of mirrored in the reverse going up here. Really nicely done. Michael's behind the scenes, as you can see right here. Scrims, inexpensive little soft box behind this scrim. If you're not familiar with these little soft boxes, I've got a video here on YouTube that'll tell you about them. I'll link it down below. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cheap. That's lighting up the scrim. The scrim is lighting up the bottle, and this white card here is reflecting the scrim in the bottle. Let's go back and look. Bright highlight, because that's the original light source. That's scrim. Softer highlight, because the white card is never going to be as bright as the light source, ever. So this is down about 2 stops, and it's just enough to really bring back the shape here. We need those highlights. The other thing that's kind of interesting is notice the wine bottle. See, there's texture in the label, and he kept that texture all the way through, adding just a little bit of light down here with that white card. We don't get a shape to the light here because this label has got texture. It's a diffuse surface. So the light where on the glass, which is very shiny, gives us absolute transitions right there. When the transition hits this diffused source, we get diffused and soft transitions. And I'll link to the video about these inexpensive light sources. They're great. You'll have so much fun with them. Rose Smith has 2 entries here, which I thought you might want to see. One is this Brazilian blowout shampoo. Notice how beautifully done the fabric is here. This is really hard to do. Let me say it again. This is really hard to do. The fabric's going to cause you more problems than you can even imagine because it can't have kinks in it. It can't have bends in it. It can't not flow pretty. So she got this all set up, put her Brazilian blowout shampoos in it, and then started working with the lighting, making sure that the edge of this Brazilian blowout has got something bright to reflect. What do you think that is? Yeah, it's the material over here. So this edge pulls this bottle off the background. Over here on this side, we've got a really, really nice little highlight going because we've got some lights over here to provide that. And they're coming right in here, and they're right down there. And then we've got a nice bright one going right up there. Do you see that? Right through the name. Perfect. Perfect. Let's look at the setup. So she's got a scrim set up with light behind it, another scrim set up with light behind it, and a softbox scrimmed off over here. I believe Rose is working with continuous lights as well. So she's driving these through. These are fairly long exposures. The camera is definitely on a tripod, as you'll see right here, into this. And this gives her the ability to then see what she wants it to look like. So this very bright softbox here is giving us that bright highlight there. The scrim with some light behind it is giving us a little bit on the side here. This scrim is giving us the ones on the side here. So it's really, really nicely done. Let's go back and look at the shot since we've seen how it was set up. Beautifully done. Very much a good product shot for a client looking to put something in an ad or something. Here's Rose's shiny shoes. Look at the shine. We know they're shiny because the transition is so sharp. But there's a little bit of texture in the shoe as well because it's like a very polished leather. So if you clean this up like John did the razor, then what you're going to end up with is a shoe that doesn't look like it is, because that little bit of texture in there, that tells the person wanting to buy it that there is a little bit of texture underneath that very shiny exterior. Notice over here and over here we got highlights here, a little bit of yellow in there everywhere, and then she did some food coloring something down here to get this sort of gel look coming out from under the heel. Let's look at the setup. She's using two soft boxes and an LED. The soft boxes are on continuous light. Again, some of those rather inexpensive lights that you can purchase on eBay, etc. And the LED boom overhead got some nice, a little bit of diffusion stretched between the two soft boxes so that there's no break at the top of the reflection in the shoes. So no possible place where that shoe is going to reflect up into the sky and get nothing. Let's go back and look at the shot. See how clean? We've got a highlight over here. We got highlights in here on the tops of the shoe there. We've got great highlight running up the side and on the sides here. It's really, really nicely done shot, again, by Rose Smith. So these and other product shots are something for you to really consider if it's something you want to do in commercial photography and not want to shoot babies and weddings and stuff. Come check us out over at lighting-essentials.com or project52pros.com and see what we have to offer there for training and learning about this stuff. Meanwhile, I keep posting this stuff for free because I just enjoy doing it. I hope you like it. Let me know by hitting the little subscribe button that's over on the side there. Which side? I can't remember. I think it's on the left, maybe. Or on the right. Could be on the left or the right. Could be on the top, left or top. I don't know where it is. But if you like it, subscribe. And if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. If you have followed me at all, you know that I will answer your questions. I look forward to seeing you guys again. and have a great, great afternoon.